Hello, this is Yogeshwar again, and I'm back with a very important and interesting topic today. And this topic is on Argala. Argala is a Sanskrit word, and Argala pretty much means some people have described it as a chain which binds an elephant or a bolt which bolts the door, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to explain you in a very simple language that argala is nothing but an effect of a planet on a house or a planet. So pretty much that's what Argala is. Argala is how a different planet can affect a house, pretty much a house, not a planet, I would say. So an Argala, once again, is an effect of a planet which affects a house. So in a very simple term as to explain you. And this concept again is coming from the great Rishi Parashara, although sage Jaimini, who is the second generation from Parashara, has also described the concept of Argala in his Jaimini Sutras, but we are not going to discuss into that because there's a slight variation there. We are going to discuss about the concept of Argala as explained by the great sage Parashara today. So, like I said, Argala is nothing but Argala is an effect of a planet on a house. And we know we have been discussing that on a house there are several ways to determine the effect of a planet by its placement, by its aspect, so on and so forth, by the strength, by its shadbala, all kinds of different concepts we've discussed so far. But today we are going to discuss this another unique concept as explained by the great sage Parashara. And I know it can get confusing because there's so many ways how a planet can affect a house, but well, these are coming directly from the scriptures, the ancient scriptures, so we have to discuss this. And Argala is one way of determining an effect of a planet on different houses. So here is how it goes. What sage Parashara has explained is that the planets, and we'll just discuss, the planets can affect a house, and as well as the houses can also affect another house. But first let's discuss about the planets. So as per sage Parashara, if a planet is in the 4th, 2nd, and 11th from a house or a planet. So once again, he is described that a planet and a house both can affect another planet and another house. So once again, to make it simple, sage Parashara has said that planets in the 4th, 2nd, and the 11th from a house or a planet can cause Argala to the 4th, to that particular house or a planet. So once again, planets in the 4th and the 2nd and the 11th from a house or a planet can cause Argala to that planet or house. I hope I'm making myself clear. Once again, planets in the 4th and the 2nd and the 11th from a house or a planet can cause Argala to that house or a planet. So say for example, if we discuss a Vedic chart and we discuss a Lagna, which is the first house, so the planet in the 4th from the Lagna planets in the second from the lagna, planets from the 11th, the planets 11th from the lagna will cause Argala or an effect to the lagna. Correct? So that is what Sage Parashara has explained. And as you can see on the screen, it's very clearly mentioned that the Argala causing planets are 4th, 2nd, and 11th from that house or a planet. And I just gave you an example of the lagna. So the Argala will be caused in the 4th house, the 2nd house, and the 11th house if we discuss just the lagna. Now if we discuss the 2nd house and what will be the Argala of the 2nd house, it will be the 5th, so planets in the 5th, or planets in the 3rd and planets in the 12th in the chart, which actually will be 4th from the 2nd house, 2nd from the 2nd house, and 11th from the 2nd house, which makes it again 5th, 3rd, and the 12th from the lagna. So once again, planets in the 4th, the 2nd, and the 11th house from any house or a planet will cause Argala or an effect. So this is what Sage Parashara explained. Now, what kind of Argala or effect can a planet form or give to that house? We know that 4th from any planet or house, 2nd from any planet or house, 11th from any planet or house can cause Argala or an effect. But what kind of effect can that planet? We're not discussing about that house. We're not discussing about a house right now. I know houses also can affect. We're talking about planets. So what kind of effect can that planet give to that particular house or a planet? What kind of Argala can it give? Argala means effect. So there can be two kinds of Argalas or effects. One is a Shubha Argala. Shubha means auspicious Argala or effect. And the other can be a Shubha Argala, which could be an inauspicious Argala or effect. Now, when will that planet cause an auspicious Argala or effect of that house in question? When the planets sitting in the 4th, the 2nd, and the 11th from that house are benefics, then it will cause a Shubha Argala or an auspicious Argala. In another case, in case the planets in the 4th and the 2nd and the 11th from that house or planet are inauspicious or malefics, like a Mars, a Rahu, or a Saturn, then it will cause a Shubha Argala, which means it will give inauspicious effects. So we are clear on this, that there can be two kinds of Argalas, Shubha or auspicious Argala, or Ashubha or inauspicious Argalas. Of the planets, when we count them from the 4th, the 2nd, and the 11th from a house or a planet. Okay, so this is the first thing which Sage Parashara has explained. And at the same time, Sage Parashara explains that there are also obstructors to the Argala, meaning there is an effect and there is a counter effect, meaning which Argala gives effect, but then he says that there are rules. He's given rules where he has explained how these Argalas can be obstructed, and the rule is that planets in the 10th, the 12th, and the 3rd from the house will be obstructors to the Argala. So Argala is caused by planets in the 4th, 2nd and the 11th from the house or a planet, while its obstructors are considered to be planets which are sitting in the 10th, the 12th and the 3rd from the house or a planet in question. And it is respectively. Why I'm using this word respectively is the Argala of that house or planet in the 4th will be obstructed by the 10th. The Argala of the planet or the house in the 2nd will be obstructed by the 12th. And the Argala of the planet, which is the 11th from the house or a planet, will be obstructed by the 3rd from that house. That's why I use the word respectively. So 4th is obstructed by 10th, 2nd is obstructed by 12th, and 11th is obstructed by the 3rd. So now we have once again to discuss what we have just discussed again, is that there are Argalas, and there are Shubha Argalas and Ashubha Argalas, meaning auspicious Argalas or effects, or inauspicious Argalas or effects. And then there are counters or obstructors to that Argala. So the planet which is causing the Argala to the 4th will be countered or obstructed by the planet which is sitting in the 10th to that house. The planet which is causing Argala to the 2nd house will be countered or obstructed by the planet which is sitting in the 12th house to that Argala, not to that Argala, to that house. And planets which are causing an Argala of that house by sitting in the 11th from that house or planet will be obstructed by the planet which is sitting in the 3rd house from that house in question. That's why I use the word respectively, so be very careful. 4th can be obstructed by 10th, 2nd can be obstructed by 12th, and 11th can be obstructed by 3rd only. So that is rule number 2. And what Sage Parashara has said, in case the Argala causing planet is powerful than the obstructing causing planet, then the Argala causing planet will be more powerful and that effect will prevail. And in case the Argala causing planet is weaker than the obstructing causing or the countering planet, then the obstructor or the counter planet will be more powerful and he will have a more say, more powerful, and he will prevail in the situation. So be very, very careful. Another rule on Argala which Sage Parashara has mentioned, that if there are 3 or more malefics in the 3rd from any house or planet, then it will cause something called a Viparit Argala, which actually is a very favorable Argala. Meaning, if there are 3 malefics from a planet or a house, they will be very favorable for that person. Now, so far we have discussed primary Argalas. Then there is something called as secondary Argalas, and secondary Argalas are called secondary because they may not have such a powerful influence as the primary Argalas, which are the 4th, the 2nd and the 11th from the house in question. So Sage Parashara describes another kind of Argala, which is a secondary Argala, which may not be as powerful as the primary Argala, and he says that the secondary Argala is the 5th house from that house in question. So if a planet is placed in the 5th house from any house, it forms a secondary Argala. And again, this Argala can be Shubha or auspicious Argala, or Ashubha or an inauspicious Argala. And then he has also said then the obstructor of this, like we have discussed the obstructor of the primary Argalas, there is an obstructor of the secondary Argala also, and the ninth from that house will counteract or obstruct that Argala. So say for example, we are discussing a chart and we are discussing the Lagna or the first house, then the fifth house or the planet sitting in the fifth house will be the Argala of the Lagna, and it will be the secondary Argala of the Lagna, which again could be Shubha or auspicious or Ashubha or inauspicious. And to counter this Argala will be the planet sitting in the ninth, which will be a secondary countering planet of such Argala. So that's another rule which the great sage Parashara has mentioned. And I think I don't want to confuse you any further. Like I said, I'm not going to get into what Sage Gemini has mentioned. So far, I think what you should do is practice and go and read charts and find out which are the Argalas in a particular birth chart, primary Argalas, and see, are they auspicious or Shubha Argalas, or inauspicious or Ashubha Argalas, and what effects are they giving to that particular house. Say for example, you can go for any house. You don't have to go just read the Lagna or the first house. Say for example, if you want to know about somebody's work, career area, which is the 10th house, so find out the Argala, the primary Argalas of the 10th house, which will be the 4th, the 2nd, and the 11th house, the 11th house, and see what planet is sitting there. So planets sitting in the 4th, 2nd, and the 10th from the 10th house will be the primary Argala of the 10th house, and the obstructors of that Argala will be the 10th, the planet sitting in the 10th, the 12th, and the 3rd house from the 10th house. So first see what are the Argalas of that house of profession, which is the 10th house, and then see whether they are auspicious or inauspicious, and then see what are the planets which are obstructing such Argalas, and then see, does it make sense? How is this person's career? I mean, if you're looking at the 10th house, what planets are helping him and what planets are not helping him? What planets are Shubhas or auspicious for him, and what planets are inauspicious or Ashubhas for him? What planets are obstructing his career? What planets are not obstructing his career? What is the planets causing Argala more powerful, or are the obstructors more powerful? What is the net result? If the Argala is more powerful, then of course you have to see whether it's a Shubha Argala or a Ashubha Argala. So Shubha will give good effects and Ashubha will give bad effects. And if the obstructors are more powerful, then they are going to obstruct and counteract the effects of the Argala. So you'll have to do a little exercise there and understand, and then it's fairly simple once you get a feel of it. And then if you can find a chart where you can see 3 malefic planets from a particular house, then as per Sage Parashara, they should be giving positive or auspicious results. So try to do that case study as well. And then if you want to go further deeper and look at the secondary Argalas, then you know that the 5th house from any house would be an Argala place. So planets sitting in the 5th house from any house will form a secondary Argala, and the planet sitting the 9th house from any house will counter that planet which is sitting in the 5th house as a secondary Argala. So that exercise also can be done. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll do some exercise there. And if you don't want to do any other exercise, just look at your chart and see and we'll be meeting in another interesting video. In the meanwhile, subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There's a link below, and I will see you soon.